Hey everybody, this is just an update. I noticed yesterday there was a story about some cops who fatally shot a man. They said he was high on PCP when they showed up just for a minor traffic accident, and they ended up shooting this guy 7 times while he was handcuffed and strapped into the front seat of the cruiser. So I didn't really think much of it, believe it or not. So I didn't even register to follow it. But then this morning when I woke up, they're actually charging this cop with murder. Corporal Michael Owen is being charged with second-degree murder, manslaughter, and associated weapons charges in the death of William Green. The chief called the announcement the most difficult moment of my tenure as your chief of police. The original count said that around 8 p.m. they received a 911 call. Officers said they located a driver who was identified and placed him under arrest after they smelled what they thought was PCP. For everybody that's ever been in a situation where the police use that as an excuse, all they have to do is say, I smell alcohol or I smell marijuana, and that gives them probable cause. And it's no different here. So they smelled PCP on this guy. They handcuffed him, buckled him into the front seat. 2 independent witnesses told investigators they heard or saw a struggle in the front seat and heard loud bangs. Owen shot Green 7 times while he was handcuffed. Officers attempted life-saving measures before he was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead.
What we endeavor to do in Prince George's County, and as you know, is to provide facts when we have facts. Preliminarily, our media relations representatives last night spoke to the possibility of PCP being involved. That does not appear to be the case. Further, the account that we had last night that there were independent witnesses of a struggle inside that vehicle, that was not corroborated. That was not corroborated. And I'm not able to state to a certainty with respect to whether or not Mr. Green was seatbelted in that cruiser. Those are the 3 substantive changes that occurred as this investigation proceeded through the early morning hours and brought us, frankly, to this point. Those are the 3 points that I want to correct. Again, I hope that the community will offer me some latitude. We seek to provide information quickly and to be transparent. That was preliminary information, and as I've always promised the community, when I have facts, you'll have facts. So again, we do not believe PCP was involved. We do not have independent witnesses that observed a struggle, and we do not know for certainty that Mr. Green was seatbelted in that cruiser.
So that's just kind of like the typical narrative. Every time these cops want to kill somebody, all they have to do is say, well, I smelled PCP and he put up a struggle, I was fighting for my life, that's endangering an officer, and they get away with it 9 times out of 10. But if you pull up the officer just killed somebody a couple years ago. And of course there was no investigation. He said that a guy for no reason threatened him with a gun. There was no motive. This is from 2011. He had only been on the department for 2 years. So this guy is a 10-year vet. The very first year he's in, he shot somebody for robbing him out in front of his house, but nobody was ever identified. He shot somebody and the robber got away. 2 years later, he killed a man who he claimed, without a motive, pulled a gun on him, which was basically like a suicide by cop. So then last night, he killed a second. A lot of these boys in blue are serial killers. They are abusing a position of power, and they seek out these positions just so that they can abuse it. A lot of them come out of the military. They are trained killers with no job skills. Unfortunately, the military targets these kids in our indoctrination camps on the public school system, and they're recruiting them right out of graduation. They're 17 years old, and then they don't teach them anything after they do their little 4-year bit, and they get out and they be police officers, and that's all they know how to do is bully and lie and kill. And no wonder people don't trust the police, and people are scared of the police. 5 facts you need to know. The police chief says he can't give the community a reasonable explanation. Well, the guy was handcuffed and strapped in, and he got shot 7 times. How can you justify that? Owen previously fatally shot a man. I just covered that a little bit. He said a guy, unmotivated, committed suicide by cop at a Toys for Tots event. Also, this guy was struck multiple times by the officer's duty weapon. So not only was he shot 7 times, but he was pistol whipped who knows how many times. And it's a good thing these police don't carry nightsticks anymore. The police tried to use their trauma kits, but once you pistol whip somebody and shoot them 7 times, there's only so much a trauma kit can do. Of course, the officer wasn't wearing a body cam. They said there's not enough funding, but when it's a matter of life and death, you can get a GoPro camera from the hardware store for $100. The officer just got a paid vacation. The ACLU of Maryland wrote, once again, a black man has been killed needlessly by officers in the PG County Police Department. Now, if you don't know PG County, they have a nationwide reputation for police brutality. Their body count is through the roof. Now, it is a predominantly black county. Most of the people there killed are black. However, the ACLU profits off of manufactured racism, which means they're one of the most racist organizations out there. They just invent shit because that's how they continue their agenda. That's how they profit. And actually, if you want to look farther into the propaganda perpetuated by the NAACP and the ACLU, so this is a number of people shot to death by police in the past 2 years. White people by far have been killed more by police officers, almost double. In 2017, it was more than double the amount of white people killed by cops than black people. So don't let them try to tell you that it's a black thing. All lives matter. If somebody wants to challenge the validity of these statistics, then that's great. Data's falsified all the time, and we have to find a spot where we can all agree that this is correct. Because personally, I don't think that I believe the rates have been dropping the way that this graph is showing. It shows in the past 2 years that the number of people shot by police has gone down significantly. It's gone up, if anything. That being said, though, only the ACLU is going to overlook the fact that there's a mass murdering cop going around increasing his body count and saying it's race-based, when it was black on black. If it was a white cop, I could understand. I don't necessarily mean that I would agree with it, but it was a black cop that killed a black man, and they're distracting you from that fact that we're dealing with an out-of-control militarized police state right now. Also, the attorney that took the Freddie Gray case, who I'm sure you all remember, the one that the Baltimore police beat to death a couple years ago and sparked the riots in Baltimore, he is representing the family of Mr. Green, who the police murdered 2 nights ago. That's all I have right now. I just wanted to bring to your attention. I hope you guys feel safe, because the police are going to make sure that if somebody gets in a minor traffic accident, that is not going to stop them from pistol whipping the guy, chaining him up, and shooting him 7 times to death, just for your safety. So make sure you pay your taxes.